This is hugely overlooked and so important. Children live here. This is something I'm seeing on a lot of buildings, a lot more buildings through. I'm in downtown Kenosha right now, the place that's in the world news. Kids live here, pointing upstairs. Animals live here, pointing upstairs. It's a common scene. So a lot of these small businesses, they have apartment flats on top of them where kids live, families are living, and they have to put these on the boarded up windows so that the looters and the rioters know, hey, don't set this business on fire because right upstairs, children are living here. And how many buildings, let me flip this back around, how many buildings are there that they are torching where kids live upstairs, but maybe there's not a sign like that pointing out that, hey, stupid, you morally bankrupt, sick, sociopathic, authoritarian fucks, there's kids that live upstairs, don't set this place on fire. There's going to be a lot of buildings like this, small businesses with apartment flats up top that don't have a sign like that, where there could be kids living and animals, people's pets. There is a neighborhood in Kenosha, it's called Uptown. I'm not in that particular neighborhood right now, it's about a mile or so away from this area, but that entire section of town was burned to the ground. I don't know if anybody was burned alive or not, but people lost all their belongings. And this is a poor neighborhood. It's the poorest neighborhood in Kenosha. Those people don't have anything. And it's mostly black people, and it's just black poor people. And they burned everything down to the ground. So obviously burning down a neighborhood that's dominantly black and poor has nothing to do with fighting for racial injustice and equality and against police brutality. So obviously the violent rioters, the violent, illegitimate people, they're not protesters. They don't have anything to do with the cause. Nothing at all. In fact, they're taking us 10 steps backwards. So maybe for 5 minutes, we were talking about the fact that another cop killed another innocent black man by shooting him 7 times in the back. Now hardly anybody is even talking about that because of the violent agitators burning down neighborhoods where it's dominantly black people and black poor people are living. There's nothing more counterproductive than that. And then there's going to be all the people, I guess we'll call them the opposition, who's going to look at that and go, see those violent protesters. No, those are two words that don't go together. Violent protesters. The protesters, the ones that are legitimate, are not violent. They're the ones we need to be supporting, and their work is too important to be messed up by the violent agitators who are scorching buildings where kids live. Children live here. Pets live here. There's a small business at the bottom, but up top there's apartment flats with kids and families. Children live here, and they have to put that on these boarded up windows. That is so sad. And some of them say pets live here. You know, Buddy lives here too, and they got a paw print on it. I've seen it. It's just incredible. These violent agitators are among the most morally vacuous, bankrupt pieces of sociopathic garbage I've ever heard of before in my life. And they have to be stopped. Unfortunately, when there's riots, the police can't be there. And unfortunately, sometimes the police are the last people you want to call because they just end up agitating and sometimes you can't tell the difference between the violent agitators and the police. It's like they're one and the same. But we need systemic change, and the violent agitators, the ones where they need to put up signs like don't scorch the place, kids live up top, stupid, the fact that we have to have stuff like that, it takes us 10 steps backwards from getting the police reform that we so desperately need in this country. So please share this. Stuff like this needs to go viral. I don't know if anybody has shared a video like this yet pointing this out, that there's all these signs here that say don't scorch the place, don't set this building on fire, there's kids that live upstairs, we don't want to burn them. I mean, really, come on. So please share this video, make this video go viral. If these violent agitators have a modicum of a conscience, at this point, I don't think they do, honestly. I mean, they passed that point of no return. There's no reaching out to them. They have to be forced to stop. They need to be forced out of our way. They're not gonna get out of our way on their own. They need to be forced. So I don't really know what the solution is yet, except something I started saying a few days ago. Us peaceful protesters, we outnumber the violent agitators that have nothing to do with our cause by probably 100 to 1, maybe 200 to 1. If you're a peaceful protester and you're out there and you see somebody starting to get out of line with violence, then you guys need to gang up on that person, hog tie him. So show up at all these protests that you go to with hog ties in your pocket. I'm dead serious. And when you see someone with a brick in their hand about to launch it, with a fireball in their hand about to torch a place where children live, or anywhere for that matter, you guys gang up on him, hog tie that sick, vile piece of shit, and tie him up so good you can't go anywhere, and just take your chances that he's going to get scooped up by a cop that's going to at least halfway do their job decently. And then afford that person due process, to which there is no defense, but at least that person gets their day in court anyway, and that's ultimately what we want. We have to force these guys to stop. And unfortunately, the police are pretty impotent when there's a riot. You can't call them. They're too busy, obviously. So it's up to us. We outnumber them like 1, maybe 200 to 1. When you see somebody getting out of hand, show up with hog ties so you can all gang up on the violent agitator. Hog tie them, man. Duct tape them if you want. Hog tie them so good they can't go anywhere for hours. And by then they should be scooped up by law enforcement. And maybe that's how we stop them. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe that's the answer to how we stop these people. I don't know. If you have a better idea, then you make a video and you make it go viral. If you have a better idea, do it. Otherwise, this is the best idea I can think of, so that stuff like this doesn't even have to exist. That, hey, stupid, children live here, don't set this building on fire. So when you go to these, I'm just going to say it one more time because it's so important, and please share this, people. Unless you got a better idea, if you don't have a better idea, please share this. It needs to go viral. When you go to these protests, bring hog ties with you. You outnumber these sick, vile people at least 100 to 1. Gang up on somebody who starts getting violent and hog tie him really good so he can't go anywhere for hours, and let law enforcement scoop these pieces of garbage up. We need to get these people out of our way. We are not going to get systemic change in how policing is done. We're not going to get justice. We're not going to get systemic change unless we take these violent agitators and force them to get out of our way, because they are taking us 10 steps backwards. All right, that's all I really wanted to say. I'm going to do a couple more shots the opposite direction just so you can see some of this stuff. Children live here. Kids live here. A peace sign, like they're really going to care about that. Animals live here. There was another one I walked by a little earlier. It had a paw print, and his dog's name was Buddy. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to be so sad if Buddy gets scorched alive because they set one of these small businesses on fire down below. It's so sick, man. They need to be stopped. And we need to stop them because the police can't do it. The police are impotent. Here's another one. Family resides with children. Can you imagine tomorrow? I mean, look, people and puppies upstairs. Can you imagine tomorrow, after tonight happens, another night of violent agitators, and they go into one of these buildings to find a family with their kids just scorched and burned alive? Can you imagine that happening? It could. I bet most of the buildings that have kids and families in them don't have signs like this letting the sociopathic violent agitators know that there's living human beings upstairs, and maybe they don't care. Maybe some of them will see something like this. Oh good, kids live up here, let's scorch the place. I don't know. So we have to stop them. I hope I made my point. I hope you share this. Unless you got a better idea to stop these guys and get them out of our way. If you don't, then please share this. This needs to go viral. The people need to get on the same page. We need to be organized and show up at these protests with hog ties so that we can gang up on these people 100 to 1 and hog tie them so law enforcement can scoop them up. I don't know of a better way to solve this problem so that we can get our goals of systemic change and justice. All right, I love you guys. Bye for now.